Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 30-Date English Listening Challenge. Today, we're talking about The Shawshank Redemption, a movie that many people consider one of the greatest films ever made. Even though it takes place mostly inside a prison, it's not simply a prison story. It's a story about hope, friendship, patience, and never giving up. Even when life seems impossible.
I completely agree. The first time I watched this movie, I expected an action film with dramatic escapes and constant danger. Instead, I found a quiet, emotional story that stayed with me for a long time. The characters feel real, and every conversation has meaning. It's the kind of movie that becomes even better every time you watch it.
The story begins when Andy Dufresne is accused of murdering his wife and her lover. Andy says he didn't commit the crime, but the court finds him guilty and sends him to Shawshank Prison for life. From the very beginning, we can see that Andy is calm and quiet, while the other prisoners are shouting or looking frightened. He hardly says a word.
When Andy arrives at Shawshank, the prison feels cold and hopeless. The guards are strict, the rules are harsh, and many prisoners have already accepted that this is where they will spend the rest of their lives. It doesn't take long to realize that surviving here will be very difficult.
One of the most important characters is Ellis Boyd Redding, better known as Red. He's been in prison for many years and knows almost everything about life inside Shawshank. If someone needs a small item that isn't officially allowed, Red is usually the person who can find it. He's respected by other prisoners because he's honest and reliable.
At first, Red doesn't know what to think about Andy. Andy is very different from everyone else. He rarely talks, keeps his emotions under control, and doesn't seem interested in proving himself. Red becomes curious because Andy never behaves the way new prisoners usually do.
Their friendship begins with a simple request. Andy asks Red if he can get him a small rock hammer. At first, it seems like an unusual thing to ask for, but Andy explains that he enjoys collecting and polishing rocks. Red doesn't think much about it, so he agrees to help. Neither of them realizes how important that small hammer will become many years later.
Another thing that makes Andy different is the way he spends his free time. Instead of getting into fights or causing trouble, he quietly sits alone and works on small pieces of rock. He's patient and never seems to be in a hurry. That tells us a lot about his personality.
As time passes, Andy slowly earns the respect of the other prisoners. He never tries to become the strongest or the most popular person in the prison. Instead, he treats everyone with kindness and respect. Even in a place filled with anger and sadness, he refuses to lose his humanity.
One day, Andy overhears one of the prison guards complaining about taxes on an inheritance. Andy politely offers some financial advice because he worked as a banker before going to prison. At first, the guard thinks Andy is making fun of him, but Andy calmly explains how he can legally save money. That moment changes Andy's life inside Shawshank.
Soon, more guards begin asking Andy for financial help. Before long, even the prison warden notices his skills. Andy starts helping with paperwork, taxes, and accounting, although he's still a prisoner. His knowledge gives him a small amount of freedom that other inmates don't have.
My favorite early scene is when Andy asks the prison administration to improve the library. He begins writing letters asking for books and financial support. Most people would have given up after receiving no answer. But Andy keeps writing again and again. His determination is incredible because he believes that education and hope can change people's lives.
That's one of the biggest lessons in the movie. Andy never lets his surroundings decide who he is. Even though he's locked inside prison walls, he continues learning, helping others, and believing that life can become better. His hope inspires the people around him even when they don't realize it yet.
As the years pass, Andy's influence inside Shawshank continues to grow. But behind his quiet smile and calm personality, he's also working on something that nobody, not even Red, could possibly imagine.
As the years go by, Andy becomes one of the most trusted prisoners at Shawshank. The guards rely on him for financial advice, and the warden gives him more and more responsibilities. From the outside, it looks as if Andy has accepted his life in prison. But deep inside, he never stops believing that one day he will be free again. I think that's what makes him such an inspiring character. He never allows prison to imprison his mind.
One of the most touching parts of the movie is Andy's friendship with an older prisoner named Brooks. Brooks has spent so many years inside Shawshank that prison has become the only life he knows. When he's finally released, everyone thinks he should be happy. Instead, he feels frightened and completely lost because the outside world has changed so much. It's heartbreaking to watch someone become afraid of freedom after dreaming about it for so many years.
Brooks' story teaches us an important lesson about hope and change. Sometimes people become so comfortable with what they know that they stop believing they can live differently. Andy understands this better than anyone else. That's why he keeps encouraging Red and the other prisoners to believe that life can still have meaning, even in the darkest places.
Later, a young prisoner named Tommy arrives at Shawshank. Tommy is cheerful, energetic, and always talking. Unlike many of the older prisoners, he still believes he has a future. While talking with Andy, Tommy mentions something shocking. He once met another prisoner who admitted that he had actually murdered Andy's wife and her lover. Suddenly, Andy realizes that he may truly be innocent.
For the first time in many years, Andy feels real hope that he might finally leave prison. He tells the warden everything Tommy has said and asks him to reopen the case. Andy believes that the truth will finally set him free. As viewers, we want to believe that justice will win. After everything Andy has suffered, it seems like this could finally be his chance.
Sadly, the warden has no intention of letting Andy go. Andy's financial skills have become too valuable to lose. Instead of helping him, the warden chooses to protect himself. He makes a terrible decision that changes Tommy's future forever. It's one of the moments that shows just how corrupt and cruel the warden really is.
Even after losing what seems to be his last chance at freedom, Andy doesn't completely give up. He becomes quieter than before, but something about him feels different. Red notices the change, but can't understand what Andy is thinking. Looking back, we realize that Andy has already started preparing for something much bigger than anyone could imagine.
Then comes one of the greatest plot twists in movie history. One stormy night, Andy disappears from his prison cell. The guards are shocked because every door is still locked. At first, nobody understands how such a thing could happen. The next morning, the warden enters Andy's cell and discovers the truth, hidden behind a poster that had been hanging on the wall for many years.
Andy has secretly spent nearly 20 years digging a tunnel through the wall with this small rock hammer that Red found for him all those years ago. Little by little, Day after day, he worked patiently without anyone noticing. It's almost impossible to believe, but everything suddenly makes perfect sense. Every small detail from earlier in the movie becomes important.
After escaping, Andy also exposes the warden's illegal activities by sending important financial documents to the authorities. The police arrive at Shawshank. The truth finally comes out, and the warden loses everything he tried so hard to protect. Justice may have taken many years, but it finally arrives.
One of my favorite parts of the ending is what happens to Red. After serving many years in prison, he is finally released. At first, he feels the same fear that Brooks once felt. But then he remembers Andy's words about hope. Instead of giving up, Red decides to take a chance and follow the clues that Andy left behind for him.
The final reunion between Andy and Red on the beach is one of the most satisfying endings in cinema. They don't need long speeches because their friendship says everything. After so many years of pain, loneliness, and waiting, they finally find freedom together. It's a beautiful reminder that hope is sometimes the strongest force a person can have.
For me, The Shawshank Redemption is much more than a prison movie. It's a story about friendship, patience, courage, and believing in a better future, even when everything seems hopeless. At the time I watch it, I'm reminded that hope is something nobody can ever take away from us.
I couldn't agree more. This movie proves that real strength doesn't always come from physical power. Sometimes it comes from staying kind, staying patient, and never giving up on your dreams. That's exactly why The Shawshank Redemption continues to inspire people all over the world.
Thank you so much for listening today. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and learned some new English along the way.
We'll see you in the next episode of the 30-Day English Listening Challenge. Bye, everyone.